Welcome back to the Spark&Heal podcast. Today we're talking with Samantha, founder of Boost, or We Wear Boost, whichever is correct. We are going to figure out right now. And Boost really revolutionizes how women after mastectomy relate to their body and in particular to their breast. I also had mastectomy. I had a reconstructive surgery, but I know from other women that often what they have is very heavy, ugly, unpleasant, cold. What Samantha is creating is lightweight, breathable, colorful, and joyful. Welcome, Samantha. Very excited about this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And Boost, or We Wear Boost is fine. If you're Googling us, then We Wear Boost is probably the way that you'd find us.
Okay, but so is it a rebranding?
No, that's just that. So the website domains and all the domain, because Boost is quite a common word in lots of different contexts, isn't it? I mean, in the UK, there's even a chocolate bar called Boost. So we needed to find a different way to present ourselves online. So We Wear Boost is the handles and there's the kind of social media tags and the bits and pieces that we use. But when we're just talking about the product, we just say they're Boost breast forms or Boost, and it's a little bit shortened and a little bit easier. So both are equally valid.
Thanks for clarifying. Samantha, can you share the story of how you created this product?
Okay, so my mum was the beginning of the story. So my mum had a single mastectomy after her breast cancer diagnosis. And I think it was around 18 or maybe even 19, coming up to 19 years ago now. So it was a really long time ago. And she had her single mastectomy. She was given a prosthesis from the NHS, which was one of the silicone gel ones encased in the polyurethane film. So it was one of those ones that resembles a chicken fillet. She used to say it looked like a chicken fillet. It was squidgy and floppy. And she wore it for a few years, but she really, really didn't like it. And we couldn't really work out why. I don't think she really had the words to say why, what was wrong with it. But as she got more and more used to being warm breasted, and she was like, we were looking into different lots of research about what products might be available for her, we started to really think about this thing that she'd been given to wear. And she just really, really didn't like it. And then one day she said to me, and this was the light bulb moment, she said, well, she used to say quite often, I don't like it. It's hot and heavy and it's sweaty and it's uncomfortable against my scar because it's flat on the back and I have to wear it in a proper bra. And I don't like wearing a proper bra all the time. I'd rather wear something a bit looser, like a crop top, because it's more comfortable and all these kind of things. But then one day she said, why does it have to look like that? That's my problem. Why does it have to look like that? Why does it have to be a fleshy type of thing? I don't wear it to replace the boob I've lost. Nothing's going to replace the boob. I couldn't have a reconstruction. She had complications with surgery, which meant she couldn't have a reconstruction. And she said, nothing's going to replace the breast I've lost. But so why does this thing look like a fleshy thing to resemble the flesh that I've lost? What I would like is something that's funky and reflects who I am as a person and gives me shape under clothing. All I want is something to put in my bra that gives me the shape that I need, that's comfortable, that's lighter. That's what I want. And then she said, I'd like a leopard print one, or I'd like a glittery one. I want something funky and patterned and brilliant. And it was on that point then I thought, yeah, like why does it have to look like it looks? Why did we decide, or when did we all decide that the breast prosthesis had to, you know, mimic the fleshy feel of the breast that you've lost? And why did we decide that was an important thing to do? And I think at some point that was decided, that was the design choices that were made. But women's lives, women's body identities, there was the rise of people having those lovely tattoos over their mastectomy scars and really reclaiming their identities after their surgery. And women are busy, they're doing lots of different things, they do lots of different activities. To only have maybe one or two different types of things that can go in the bra when you've got so much of a breadth of life around you, that's just not not right. There's room for more things in that space. So that's where the idea for Boost came from. And what we knew from the beginning then is that we wanted to make it look different. It didn't need to look like a boob, but it needed to be functioning like when it had to go in the bra to give you the shape, had to have a bit of a wobble, had to pass the hug test, which is, you know, if somebody gave you a really, really big hug, they might not really notice that you've got one boob, so, or no boobs. So we wanted to work on the functionality, but really important to us was how it looks as well. And also, which came along with all of those other things, was consideration of the environmental impact we were making too, because we live in a world where that is companies who are bringing something to the world need to have plans to make that as sustainable and as safe for the environment as we possibly can, and we also wanted to address that. So Boost is quite different in how it looks. Shall I show you one? Shall I
Yes,
hold one up and I
yes.
can try and describe it and how it's quite different. So we don't do skin colors per se. What we do is we do sort of baseline colors, which should go with quite a lot of your wardrobe or your bras and your pants and all those other things that you have. But ultimately, we have a design that has an open structured pattern on it, which allows air to circulate. It also takes some of the weight out of the product because it is made from silicone, from skin safe medical silicone. So it is made from silicone like the others, but instead of being a gel encased in a plastic, it's this more firmer silicone, but in the clever way it's designed with the pattern and with the rib structure on the back, it gets that wobble and it gets a shape and a squidge, but without all the weight, without all the floppiness of the silicone gel. And we think it looks pretty funky as well. It's got a star right in the middle, and stars around the edges, which kind of give it that. We call this one the mandala pattern, because when we were co-designing this with women who'd had breast cancer, quite a lot of the women we worked with in that co-design period, because I mean, co-design was a really important step for us because we still didn't know that it wasn't just my mum who was saying, yeah, I want a funky boob, I want a glittery boob, I want one with patterns on. Like, it could, at that time, it could just have been my mum who wanted that and nobody else wanted that. So we worked with around 160 women across Devon and Cornwall for probably around 2 years in designing and developing the product. And we didn't lead them. We said, what do you want? What do you want your breast form to be? What is the gap for you? You've got this one you can wear for this situation. You've got this one, maybe a knitted knocker or something really light just to wear at home or whatever. But where's the gap? And it was with them, they basically said the same thing that my mum was saying, which was really, really great for us because we knew then we were on the right track. And so these ladies were quite into yoga. And so design is actually based on, we call it the mandala design. It's based on that kind of idea of like holistic wellness, those kind of patterns that you get through yoga, through like Indian art, through all those different things. And that's where this initial kind of shaping came from. And also it suits our purposes from engineering point of view, because we get to have this lovely star shape in the middle that actually holds the structure in place. So there's a whole lot of stuff that goes along with it. It's also weighted towards the bottom and this shape so that it gives that natural sort of wobble feel. But importantly, it doesn't flop about under your clothes. It stays put in your bra. You can wear it with lots of different types of bra. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a pocket of a pocketed bra. If you're comfortable not wearing it in there, you can wear it just against you. And lots of people do that. And then it means that they can wear lighter crop tops or, you know, things that garments that might be a bit more comfortable, or they can buy the most beautiful bras that they always bought from their favorite high street shops without having to worry, has it got a pocket in? Has it got a pocket in? Well, you don't necessarily need it, because the Boost doesn't work in the same way. So we're obviously I could talk about it all day, and I'm super proud of the design. It's so good, but I cannot take all the credit for it because our amazing designer Chris, he's an engineer and he is the brains behind it. So we came with the ideas in the beginning. We came with all this feedback from all these women, and we're like, we need to change this. And he has helped us make that into something that can be manufactured and can be made, and has now gone out to over 6,000 women. So, yeah, it's great.
Incredible. You should be proud of this because it's such a unique product. And I definitely know that this product is much needed. A lot of women don't know that such a product exists because they're given the limited availability on the market. Typically, it would be a brand that has some partnership with a hospital, and they just give it to you and you have to endure. There are a few questions I want to ask you, but my first immediate question is, you are the founder of such an incredible brand. Do you have an engineering degree, or do you have a product development degree?
No, I have a mum that needed a thing, and that was my motivation. So I didn't have any formal training, but I did have a mindset that was very much, if something needs to be done, I can do it. And I've always had that since I was quite young. And I'm quite ambitious, I am quite driven. And once I can see an opportunity, I do go for it. So my background is actually in the arts. And when I started Boost, I was working in an art college. And then when Boost was growing, I was working in museums, and so I had that kind of background. But I think that the creative kind of problem solving, the people focus, is really where my strengths have come in. And actually learning how to run a business, I've just found it fascinating. I've absolutely loved every minute. I'm one of those people who just wants to learn something new all the time. I want to constantly improve. I want to constantly research. I want to constantly go to courses. I want to constantly meet people. I want to do the network. I want to learn from you. I want to learn from everyone. I want to learn from the breast cancer community. And when you have that kind of attitude, I think that can take you a long way rather than the formal qualifications. That said, like I mentioned just now, we do have a qualified engineer on the team. So he's the one who can then say, oh, that's a bit bonkers. I don't know how we're going to do that. Have you thought about the practicalities of doing X, Y, Z? Or this is how we can do that, but we need to do this, this, and this first. Or I will put some design files together and I'll do some 3D modeling. And he's the person who does that, who sort of translates that. And I focus on the business side, the creative side, creative problem solving, and the people. I mean, I think that's where I'm stronger. So, I think my advice is, if you see a problem in the world that needs solving, it doesn't matter what qualifications you've got. Just go ahead and do it. If nobody else is doing it and you need that thing to be done. I didn't know we were going to start this company. When my mum said she needed a different type of prosthesis, I thought we could just go and buy one. It wasn't till we ordered like 5 or 6 different things, and they all came, and we spent a small fortune on ordering these things, and they were all basically the same. I think this is one of her, she wanted to go swimming with my son when he was younger, and this is one of the swimming breast forms that we had for her, and it just used to get water in there, and then it just used to go out like a squidge out, and it used to, and she just, like, even this she found just really, really difficult. It's still quite heavy and it's still floppy. So I think I tried. I didn't know I was going to run the business, and to be fair, I didn't even start it until 6 or 7 years after my mum's surgery. It was just until we really got into finding out what lots of other women felt, and that there was a real gap for this type of product. So yeah, go for it. If you've got an idea, go for it. That's all I can
This is
say.
the most important message probably from
Just do it. Yeah,
just do it. Just do
it's
it.
hard. But if you don't have if you've got the drive and you've got the willingness to learn, I think that goes a really long way. And then you can get the other people around you that can help you to fill the gaps in the technical stuff that you might not be able to do. You'll be able to find them. If you know what your limitations are, you know what you're good at and what your strengths are, and you're confident in that, then you can find the other people to build your team. And that's what I've done. And Chris was with us from day one on the very first prototypes as a freelance designer. And he's now with Boost as design director. He's a company director at Boost, and he is our lead engineer, and he's doing this amazing work that he does. And so you don't have to know it all yourself. You don't have to be the main person for everything, but you just have to have that drive. I think that's the important thing.
I love this message. And then so because a lot of women with whom I talk and who have great ideas, they don't launch a business or they don't start their project because they often have a reservation that they don't have business degree, they don't have a particular degree to do something. And what you just said, and also your example, shows that everything is possible with the right mindset and the right ambition.
And for me, it wasn't an option. I can remember like there being a time, I think we were trying to do the patents because we've got patents in the UK, EU, and US for our products. And we're trying to do the patents, and patents is so expensive and it's really complicated and it's really tricky. It's a really tricky time for it. You have to decide whether you're going to do that or not, go through that pathway because it's not for everyone. And there's all these things going on. And I can remember saying to my mum, oh no, I don't know if I can do this. I just don't know if I can do it, because I was working a couple of jobs as well. I had my museum job, which was 3 days a week. I was doing some freelance consultancy because I needed the money to put back into the company. And obviously I had a mortgage to pay and I've got a son. So we had all of this stuff going on. And I said to Mum, I don't know if I can do it. And she said, well, you're going to have to do it because I want my boob. And so that was it. That was it. If your idea is really, really good, it's almost like that's the driver. If you've got the strong market pull there, you can't not do it. So I think for women, it's hard to be a woman in business because you have problems with accessing funding. We know that venture capital firms don't fund women as much as they fund men. We know that women don't feel confident enough to apply for funding in quite a lot of cases. And fortunately, I did get I self-funded for a really long time because I couldn't get investors that were interested, because women's health, women's products, I was told the product was very niche. And I said, well, 1 in 7 women will have breast cancer in their lifetime. I don't see how that's niche. I was told the product was niche by an investor that had invested in a beard trimmer. And I said, I think beards are niche because, like, I think there's probably more women who have a mastectomy than require a beard trimmer. Like I didn't get, like, beards are quite a niche thing. Beard care was quite niche at the time. Like, to me, that was niche. Anyway, but and we did also have problems in the very early stages, really, like, explaining the concept to investors, because the people who hold the gateway to funding quite often, they are men in finance, and that's just, unfortunately, it was back then, 9 years ago when we first started really looking at this. That was just how it was. I mean, things are changing. I think there's so many really good things, like the Investment in Women Code in the UK, which banks and venture capital firms are now signing up to. There's all these stuff happening. But in practice, if you've got a product that's quite far, it's quite radical in its approach. In fact, it's a paradigm shift. It's something completely. The design assumption is completely different with our product than it is with the other products. And then you're pitching to men who don't have any of that lived experience. They are going to struggle to understand it. And they did struggle to understand it. They said things like, oh, we can't fund that. It doesn't look like a boob. Women won't wear it. I think it would be better if it looked more, like a real boob. And I said, so when you take it off and it's on the worktop, it's just going to look like you've been amputated again. Like, it's just like, do you not think about how these women who wear it feel about it, not how you would feel when you saw a woman wear it? It was about their gay. And we really challenged people on that. And actually, one of the investment firms we challenged were actually really nice, and they came back a bit later on and they said, would you pitch again? And they did invest in us in the end. So So it can be done, but it is tricky for women. But you do have to get yourself out there, and you don't worry if what degree you've got, what experience, life experience. Like, it doesn't matter, because what matters is your drive and your willingness to learn and put yourself out there, and the fact that you're confident in what you're doing. And I was confident in what I was doing, because every time I went home from work, my mum would be like, "I really need that. I need that boob to happen. I need that boob." And she still wears them now. So, it's all good.
Such an incredible story, and I really hope that everybody can remember this, and regardless of their degree or what have you, that just go for what you believe in.
Yeah.
So, founder without engineering degree, nonetheless, you have developed such an amazing product. It looks and it feels great, and I also know you have a lot of funky colors.
Yeah.
But so, what was this path from the idea to the product development? Because, as you said, you needed to fund it, so you kept a day job.
Mhm.
Then you were working on your boost form, and you had your mom who was
Mm.
a breast cancer survivor, but you needed more women to
Yeah.
help you prototype and develop the product. So what was this road from the idea to the final product? How long did it take?
I think it really took around 2 years. We did get some support from Innovate UK in the UK, which are the government's innovation strategy. And at the time, I had been engaging with a business support. There's like business support mentors or anything. There's usually around your local university. And I had sort of reached out to people and said, we're thinking of doing this thing, and whatever. And I'd started to Google like how you'd fund your business and bits and pieces. And I did find Innovate UK, and I thought, wow. And I saw that they had a fund available, and it was for really early stage design consultations. And I thought, wow, just the deadline's tomorrow. I haven't got a lot of time, but I'll just do it this evening. And I can remember I just typed it up and just sent in an application. And then the business advisor said to me, "Why did you do that? Why did you do that for? You were wasting your time. It's nobody gets those grants. They're really hard to get. They're really competitive, blah, 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 blah." And then lo and behold, I got it like on the first try. And we had to then register the company, because the company wasn't even properly like registered. We didn't have any like system set up or anything. So we had to go through a process of actually legalizing the company so we could get this funding. And it was only a tiny amount. I think it was about 15,000 or something. It wasn't massive, but it was enough to help us fund those co-design and early prototyping activities. So what we did is consultations with women. We even did one, if England and Cornwall, where we're based, we managed to get the Eden Project to give us a space. They gave us space in one of the biomes in the garden, and we set up there, and we just sent out like invitations to cancer support groups and all these sorts of people. And we set up a little table, and we had a little sign, and it just said, "Come and talk to us about your boobs." And people dropped in, and even people who were just visiting the Eden Project didn't know we were there. Some people had breast cancer, and they just came and spoke to us. And we did all this kind of outreach work, and we went to just listen to women's experiences of wearing a breast prosthesis. And that's what we wanted, to just listen. And then from that, we started to look at the pain points, and then we started to look at the designs. And then we had early stage designs, and we took them back to women again, took them back quite often to the same women, because we captured their details. So what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Blah, blah, blah. And then the product developed over that time. So we had a little bit of funding, but it wasn't paying any wages. It was just for those expenses of doing these consultations. And for Chris, who is now our design director, but at the time he was a freelance engineer. So as a freelance person, to get his services, we obviously needed to pay him. And I tease him quite a lot, because I always say, you were the only person that was paid at Boost at the beginning. But it was because he was freelance. That was his like work. So I had the other job in arts and heritage. So it's kind of it evolved through that. And then when we started actually molding them for people to try to wear them. So initially they were like hard, like 3D printed, just hard plastic, just so we could show people what the pattern looked like and what the shape looked like, and did they, and we did them in funky colors so people could get over the fact that they were funky colors and all that kind of stuff. And people were like, oh yeah, it's quite fun, it's quite good. And then we then found a way to mold them into like a prototype so we could do them in the squishy silicone so people could actually wear them. But all of that took a good couple of years, and then we had to have the patents done, and then people were wearing them as testers. And the first lot of test boobs are blue. They were blue because we thought we probably won't make blue in the future, we need to differentiate the test boob, and they were blue. And we gave them out to people in the southwest of England, and we gave some out to people to wear. And we only had one size, and they were just wearing them and seeing how they felt. And the feedback was really, really positive. So then we got 2 other sizes we made. So the one we had in the middle, we decided was a medium, and then we wanted to make a small one and a large one. And being the engineer that he is, Chris said to me, so where do I get all the data about where do we get the measurements and the about boobs and bra sizes? And I was like, you don't know boobs and bras very well. So we had to do this whole thing where there isn't like a data set. Bra companies make their bras from a fitting model. So every bra companies, that's why you can get a bra in one company's size at like a 36C, and then you get one from a different shop in a 36C and it's completely different. Like they do their sizes different. There's no standardization there because boobs just don't work like that. Women's bodies don't look like that. Women's bodies can change. Your boob can get a bit fuller depending on where you are in your cycle, or what medications you're on, or how much jogging you've done in the day. Like loads of things can change how your boobs are and how your body feels. So there's not like a data set that you can just say, oh, this will be a small boob, this will be an A cup, this will be a B cup. And so I did some research. I went into some local cafes, and I just had a big bowl of Play-Doh, like homemade Play-Doh, salt dough, and I gave it to people, and I said, can you make me a small boob? Because what I was worried about is if we called a boob a small boob for me might be different to a small boob for someone. So we made a small boob, a medium boob, and a large boob. And I looked at how people were making them, and there was some similar size. They were making them very similar, even the men had to go making small boob, medium boob, large boob. So we knew roughly where those, and then I could translate that into the cup sizes. So we knew roughly where we were. And for us, an extra small is actually an A cup, and a small is a sort of B cup, sometimes a C, and a small back bra, and and then it goes from there. But that was a really useful thing to just see how members of the public viewed extra small, large, medium, and those language that you might use to describe a product. So that worked. And then I went back to Chris, and then together we worked out, and then we ended up with 3 sizes. We had a small, a medium, and a large. And then the COVID pandemic happened, and people were really struggling. We were being contacted a lot. We'd got a website up by then, and a lot of women were contacting us because they were so like bereft. They've had cancer treatment, they've gone in on their own, they've not had a family member with them, they might have gone for their mastectomy and not seen anyone for a week while they've been in hospital because nobody can visit them, and then they've been told, well, we're not going to give you a prosthesis fitting appointment because of the pandemic, because it's not an essential, it's a non-essential appointment. And these women are going, but actually my breasts and my breast health and how I feel about my body now is essential, or I had surgery just before the pandemic and I haven't had my fitting yet because I was still healing, and now you've just cancelled it completely and I have to go and work on Zoom calls and things, and people are looking at me on video, and I need something. I want to create shape for myself, and there has to be something going on. And so in that time where people found the accessibility and the advice, and we were being told to protect the NHS and not to speak to them unless you really needed to, all of that kind of stuff, people were coming to us and saying, have you got anything that I can wear? And we only had the 3 sizes, and we knew they weren't going to fit everybody. And we knew that they were just, we were just sort of moulding them in the garden shed at Chris's house at that point, just sort of prototypes. and we knew they weren't great, but people were so keen to have them. So that's when sort of 2021, 2022, we just started with the 3 sizes on the website, and people started buying them. And that was the turning point, because that then made the investment group said, well, women are buying these now. And I was like, yeah, we couldn't hold them back. We wanted to develop more sizes before we did a launch and all this stuff, but we couldn't because people were contacting us all the time saying, I really want this, I really want this.
So how many
um
sizes do you have right now?
we have 6 in the mandala range and 6 in the bloom range, and we're just working on what we call super curve, which will be sizes that will be some of them are mandala, some of them are bloom. So bloom are rounder, and super curve will have another 3 sizes in, so that's 12, 30, 40, 50, 15 core sizes. We also can make some custom breast prostheses. We have done that before, where we can take a scan from a lady and make custom. So we've got some molds of some quite different shapes and sizes, which are more to do with usually for women who've had a reconstruction, and if the reconstruction hasn't worked as well as they would like and they've got a bit of asymmetry, then we can do a bit of a custom like filler, a gap filler, like for the bra, so that you just get a little bit more symmetry. There's bits and pieces that we do there. So but yeah, I think around 15 core sizes now. Yeah.
And so if somebody wants a custom size form, they need to come to you, or do you consult virtually also?
We will consult virtually first. I mean, the custom size form is obviously a lot more expensive, because we'd be creating a tool, a mold specifically for you. So that obviously has a lot more engineering costs. It takes a lot more of Chris and Martin, our other engineer, it takes a lot more of their time. So it is a little bit more expensive, but it would be quoted on a case by case basis, really see how you are. And what we found is actually it is quite rare that we have to do that. We usually do have a size that's good enough in our product range. But if we do have to do that, you've got something that's really like this the particular lady we've done who had this very complex issue with her reconstruction, then we can work on that. The other thing we get quite commonly is people asking about their expander implants and whether our prosthesis can go over that while it's going through the process of the expansion, ready to take the implant in. And because we have such a concave back, we can also do that in a customized thing we can do for somebody with an expander implant, is that we can actually work with that person to alter the ribbing on the back so it can be shallower or fuller, depending on where they are on the journey of their expansion. So that's another element of customization. We can do it. We don't do it very often. Most people just find that the off-the-shelf sizes are pretty good for them.
Wow, this is amazing. It really looks cool. What I want to know now is, when you compare boost form with the medical prosthesis, um, how does it different in terms of, well, you explained that it's much more lightweight and
I've
it's,
got one.
oh,
Right.
yeah,
So
because the common problems, like you already mentioned for your mom, well, they look ugly, you feel hot, and then when you go into water, it immediately feels cold. Then
yeah.
it has problems with sweat, but because it cannot breathe, then it creates itching and irritation. I would like to focus on this particular part of the practicability of your form.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have got one in front of me here, and this is a very well-worn prosthesis. So this person had this breast form, but they were still wearing it because these are expensive. So for a start, they come in packaging, which is there's a lot of packaging because and I wouldn't say necessarily that they're all ugly. Like some of these gel prostheses, they can be fine, and they can do the right thing in some situations. But the problem that we have is that there are other situations, for example, in your yoga class, where this might not be so appropriate. So they work in some situations, but one of the things that we found is that there is that risk. They don't last very long, and we talked about like that eco-conscious element of what we do. And obviously these look a bit like this, and they kind of they can flop around from you. So when people are moving quite a lot, so you're chasing around, as my mum was after a toddler, because she was helping me to look after my son while I was at work. You're moving around, you want to go swimming with your children, you want to do all these things, then this prosthesis does, like, it sort of pulls away from you quite a lot in terms of just how you're moving, because it's the weight of a breast. It can be the weight of a breast. A lot of them are lighter nowadays because they know that that's too heavy for most people to wear in their bra. But it isn't attached to you with all the ligaments and all the stuff that helps to hold it on. So you get that flopping motion sometimes, you get that movement, which can be really uncomfortable. But in particular, there can be some anxiety around that as well. When you move forward with the heavier prosthesis, gravity can pull on this a bit like it's a liquid, and pull it away from you. And some people find they get a bit of a gap here where their bra sits, and they feel self-conscious about that. And there's all these different things that people feel quite self-conscious about. With some of these in particular, another thing that women were telling us was they were worried, and they have had experiences of it splitting and leaking the gel from the inside. And this is one that has split and leaked. And these are products that cost quite a lot of money. And they do their job, and they do a thing, but they don't do it all the time, and they do have these downsides. So this product now, this lady was continuing to wear it because she couldn't afford to get another one, and she didn't have the time to go to the NHS and get one. So we she took her boost and she went home and she said, I don't want that one, you can and so we've kept it just to explain and to show people what's inside. But the silicone gel, you can't really do anything with it once it's split and leaked. You really need to discard the product and get yourself another one, which is fine if you can afford to do that, or if you've got access to the National Health Service and they can get you in for an appointment and you can go through, but you have to go through an appointment system. You have to go down, and it probably costs you 20 quid in parking and all the other bits that go on, and petrol or bus fare and whatever. So it does. I mean, they're there and they do their thing. You asked me about the difference and how it feels to wear it. And I think one of the key things with ours is we do have durability. They're really easy to wash and to wear. They don't need to be in a box like that because they don't need that kind of cradling to keep their shape. You can clean these really well. You can sterilize them. There's no risk that they're going to split and leak. And you don't have that anxiety that what might happen. They also they kind of stay put. And it's really hard for me to explain how that happens, but it is to do with the way the weighting is, the clever ribbing structure, and just taking that floppiness out. Which makes them stay put. So when you go to do your downward dog in your yoga class, you won't get so much. You might get a little bit of movement because it has to move because your body moves, but you won't get that big pull of gravity on it like you would, that might make you self-conscious. You won't get that problem in the swimming pool where all the water pools behind it, and it's dragging you down, or it feels really cold because the water's just going to circulate through. It helps you to disperse the heat in your body. There's all sorts of different ways of doing it, but I guess one of the best ways to show it, I don't know if I can show it with the swimming boot, but it's just the fact that you can just put it up. I haven't put it in a bra or anything, but I can put it up there and I can move and it isn't going to go anywhere. And if you did something like that with the gel ones, I'll try this one, they just fall out. So I think that, like, having that stay put element, and the fact that if anybody did see it, it's kind of a funky thing. It's not something to be worried about. All of those elements make it quite popular with the community. So I don't know if I really answered the question then, though. Did I? I don't know.
Yes, this
Does
is
that
women
Yeah.
without breast feel. They feel the need to refill the space because breast is so much connected to who we are as a woman. It's also sexual,
Yes.
quite
And
intimate body part, right? You don't show it to anyone. And then when something bulges or
or
like
flops away from you.
flops and it looks
Yeah.
like you said the chicken breast, or something, it's very self-conscious and it can directly influence self-esteem. And
Mm,
in the situation where we're talking about, we already have quite low self-esteem because sometimes or even
mm,
often we blame ourselves for this
mm,
cancer thing, and then we don't have our breasts, so we feel like half woman or
mm,
incomplete woman. And
mm,
what I find you do with your business, you bring smile on the face, you give this femininity and sexuality back to the woman, but also something she wants to show off. If I had to wear one of them, I would always want
to
uh,
show it
to
off.
show it a
Yeah.
little bit off.
Yeah, and actually we do, if you look at our social media, there are lots of ladies that do show them, and we love that. But we also do get comments from people, and they say, "Oh, do they always stick out? Do you always see them?" Well, no, it depends what you're wearing them in. But if we showed women who always had, tops like I've got on, you'd never see that they would be wearing the product. So we have to show them in different ways. But actually, we've got some photographs to share over because we're coming up to Valentine's Day and we've got all these things going on, and we're launching a hot pink color, really bright. It's like the brightest pink we've ever been able to do. It's beautiful, and we'll be launching that really soon for February, just to brighten everybody, not just for Valentine's Day, but just to brighten everybody's life after all this rain we've had in the UK. It's awful. So we're launching this new color. But that can be it, because you can wear the different bras. You could wear a little lacy camisole, and it would say, you can feel sexy in your underwear again if you've got the right breast form. Your breast form. I mean, our mantra really is your breast form should not hold you back for anything. Shouldn't hold you back. Shouldn't hold you back from having a wonderful sex life. It shouldn't hold you back from feeling glamorous and beautiful. It shouldn't hold you back from being the feminine, wonderful self that you are. It shouldn't hold you back from wanting to go swimming with the kids. It shouldn't hold you back from that holiday that you really want to go to. Your breast form is something that you're choosing. You might be choosing to wear. You might feel like you need to wear one, but you should have the range of options available to you, that if you feel like you need to wear a breast form, or you want to wear a breast form, that breast form should not, you should have enough choices that it should not get in your way of you living your best life. And that's really what we want to do.
You know what? I've heard from several people, most of whom are men, saying that it does not matter what kind of form you're wearing or what kind of underwear, because I remember wearing a special underwear after my reconstruction, and it felt itchy and it was ugly, but I had to wear it for 2 months. So I've heard these comments or like, but why do you care? It does the job. And it's almost like an insult. Some people don't understand is that it's not important if nobody else sees it. You undressed and you dress every day. You see
Yes.
your body in the mirror every day, and you see this form every day, and somehow it influences your daily persona. Your
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. And we honestly, that is one of the arguments we had again with an early stage investor. They said, "Why are you putting so much effort into making it pretty and glittery, or all these funky colours?" They're like, "Nobody's going to see it if it's under your clothes." And I'm like, "No, because the most important person to me will see it every day, and that's our customer. That's the woman who wears it. She's the most important person to me, and she's going to see it every time she puts it on. It's not going to be in a beige box under her bed. It's going to be on the dressing table so she can pick it up and want to go, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in the hot pink mood today. It's going to be hot pink and glitter. That's what's going in. Or I'm wearing the sexy black lingerie, so I'm going to go with a black lacy kind of thing. That's what we want. That's the kind of vibe, because you're absolutely right. That is exactly what we want to achieve, because for too long there hasn't been that choice and empowerment. There hasn't been that thought about what a woman might feel herself and how she might express herself. And it's been more about what would make society more comfortable, or what might be, seen as normalizing someone's body maybe after breast cancer. And that's not how things work. And we've moved on so much from those kind of mindsets, even in the last 8 years since Boost has been around. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. That's made me so happy that you've said that, because that is something that we have been really mindful of. Like, this woman is the most important person. She sees this product every day. So that's why it's super important what it looks like.
Recently, I recorded a podcast with a young woman from France, from the north of France, who creates special lingerie for women with mastectomy, women affected by breast cancer in general. So she is very careful about the materials that she uses, but also she customizes often the shape of their bra. And it was so interesting to talk with her, because she realized one day she didn't have breast cancer. Nobody around her had breast cancer, but she realized when writing her thesis, I don't remember exactly the title, but it's about limitations of Western women in their clothes, that women who have mastectomy, they have very limited choice of what they wear. And
Mhm.
it's such a big part of their identity that um, it completely shifts their perception and confidence. And so
Mm.
she started doing this lingerie, and this is so amazing. She told me stories about her clients. And actually, one of the stories she told me was a woman with a wrong prosthesis
Oh.
who
Mm.
came for a custom-made lingerie, but her prosthesis was wrong. And it's just so wrong with this whole industry. Well, it's not even industry, with this whole part of healing and returning back to life. Because as you said, it's not a niche, it's the continuation of life for quite a lot of women today.
And treatment, there's so much focus on the research about early diagnosis and cancer treatment, and those things are really important, and they really do need a lot of money, a lot of research into those. But because those things that have improved so much over the last 50 years, we now have the situation where women are getting diagnosed earlier, they are getting treated earlier, they do spot their signs and symptoms. There is a lot of work being done to get women to understand their breast health better. And there's a lot of stuff that happens that makes it reasonable that we can expect that women are living 5+ years after their diagnosis. Like, my mum is now, like I said, 18, nearly 19 years from her breast cancer surgery, and she's absolutely fine and she's thriving. But like, people are living longer, but we forget about that part. We focus on the acute part, the saving the life of the cancer, and that is really important. And don't get me wrong, that is really where medical science should be focused, absolutely. But it's really vital, I think, for us as a community of people whose families have been affected by breast cancer, who are around women who've had breast cancer, who have friends who've had breast cancer, to also think about that onward quality of life. And to hear that young lady's doing that as well, that is brilliant, because I think that is a gap. It has been a gap. Like, what happens next? What happens now? How do we live our lives? How do we teach society to be body inclusive, to view the way that women present their bodies in different ways, to allow people to be empowered through the body that they have now rather than the body that they used to have? Like, how do we make sure that people have enough tools, really, or enough products and services and support to thrive and to live and to do what they need to do? Go on that girls' holiday, go to that wedding and wear the dress that you want to wear, go to that party, go swimming, go to the beach, do what you need to do to live a strong and fulfilling life. And traditionally, I think there was a lot of focus on the cancer treatment part. And for people like me and for the lady you were talking about, we're really keen to do more on the other part, the holistic part afterwards.
So important what you said, because this is in the core of my personal mission with Spark&Heal. When I was recovering after breast cancer, I realized that, yes, I was in great hands. I got the best treatment I could. The reconstruction surgery, the doctors for reconstruction surgery used the most innovative techniques, surgery techniques, but my life after became hell because
Mm.
I didn't get support on emotional part, on the psychological part, on this like social integration. I didn't know what to do with my body, with my new identity. And I had to figure it out by myself. So I'm trying to create this space where I can be this uh, platform that can help others, heal faster and better, hopefully. And
Yeah,
so this
and I think
is
that's so valuable. It's so valuable. Like what you're doing is amazing.
So are you, and what is important that you're not only doing what can help fix the problem, but you're also appealing to self-confidence, to self-esteem, to much bigger part of a woman than just this breast. Because I
Yeah.
also remember a story of my former co-worker whose mother had double mastectomy, but because it happened like 40 years ago, and um, the availability of breast forms was limited and she didn't have money, so she had to put underwear inside, like panties inside her bra to create a form of a shape. And she
Mm.
felt extremely like dissatisfied with that, because you can imagine, like, you put underwear inside and then it doesn't even have a proper shape.
No.
So she spent her like a very long life after breast cancer diagnosis, but probably not the most happy
Not
moments wearing this bra to just show that she has breasts.
And it's back to that limitation again. If you don't have access to a choice of things that you can pull out to make your life more comfortable, because she didn't have access to different types of prostheses that were affordable or accessible and maybe even comfortable for her. She was making do, and women are really, really good at that. But what we don't want to keep doing that. We need things to improve. We need more investment into women's health products that actually really have an impact on women's lives. Investment into women's businesses that are doing holistic things that we know that women need, because we are those women and we're in contact with those women in our communities. And I think that, back to, business financing again, I think that we need to grow our businesses and our communities so we can be the investors of the future. So when the next generation of women come through solving a new type of problem that might have arisen, then we can be the ones that invest back in them, and we don't have the struggles like I had at the beginning. Oh, it doesn't look like a boob, nobody's going to want it. Why have you made it so pretty? Nobody's going to see it because it's going to be under her clothes. All of those kind of things. Like, we can avoid those kind of barriers to solving the problems that we can see. And I think that's important. So anyway,
Sam, I hope that people who are watching or listening to us, and especially women who are experiencing currently problems with their current breast form, breast prosthesis, and they want to get one. how can they do it? Because I know you're based in the UK, but which countries do you ship to?
So at the moment, we ship mostly to the UK, obviously, to the US and to Canada. We're just about to start working with a lady in Australia. So we're really keen to hear if anybody's in Australia and would like to know more about our products, because we're literally onboarding somebody over there. But in terms of shipping to Europe, it is a little bit trickier, but we can do it. So the best thing to do is to reach out and we can just double check the postage costs for you. And that's the easiest thing to do. So we haven't got a distribution centre in Europe at the moment. And the reason for that is it is quite challenging to do all the translations and the size guides and things. And we are super, super small. We're such a small little company. We've only got 5 staff. We do all of our own breast form making. We do our manufacturing here. So it's not shipped from China or anything. We have control over it. So we can do those custom orders. We can do the funky colours that we need to do. And also we're in control of our waste and our resources. So we're not wasting electricity and power and silicon, and we can do the recycling and stuff as well. So that's why it's here. But it does mean that that we haven't quite expanded into Europe in the way that we like, but it is on the cards. But if you are in Europe and you're based in Europe and you're interested in the product, we still would love to hear from you. And the best thing to do is to email us, and then we can give you some information and we can let you know if there is like an extra postage charge for ordering and that kind of thing based on where you are. We offer virtual fitting service where you can go onto our website and you can book a video call. So the video call, because we're such a small team, they do book up quite quick, but there's me and Sarah, and we're both qualified bra fitters. We've done bra fitting training, although we're not going to really show you that many bras, but we might suggest you might need to go and buy a new one. Sometimes we do say quite politely, when was the last time you bought a new bra? Because sometimes it's good to have a new bra and a new boob together. It kind of makes you feel a bit better. So and feel more secure that your prosthesis fits. So Sarah and I do video calls with people where we can have a consultation one-to-one via video chat, and we can show you the different products. We can have a look, if you're comfortable to show us, we can just have a look at your body shape, the current prosthesis you're wearing, the types of bras you like to wear, the types of swimwear you like to wear, and we can help you to navigate through a product to try from the Boost website, and we can support you to do that. And so those consultation calls are available with us, and you can book those through the website as well. If you're in the UK, we are available through the NHS now. It's taken a long time to get there, nearly 3.5 years, but we are there. And NHS England places where they have breast care units, you should be able to ask specifically for a Boost breast form if you want one. It's helpful if you already know roughly what size you want, because it makes their life a bit easier because they can order it for you. But if not, you can still go and speak to your breast cancer centre about getting a boost on the NHS if you are in the UK, or particularly in England or Wales. Actually, some of the trusts in Wales will do it, and you can go and ask there. And there's a letter on our website that you can download that can help you to say the right words to get your NHS provider to order it for you. But they only have limited colours in the NHS because obviously they're not going to stock the hot pink ones quite yet. That was a step too far. So they stuck the like I would call them like the essential colours, like so black and white and like the peach and the caramel peach. So the kind of ones that are, like, would go with everything. They'll stock that they'll do those, but they don't do like the really funky ones. And we do have funky boobs on Etsy as well. So the one-off, sometimes we make a product that's just a one-off. We wouldn't be able to replicate it. Or a pair, well, like a one-off pair, and they've got glitter in, or they're a really funky colour because it's we were trying to experiment with colour and it's come out of funky colour, and we've forgotten how we did it and we can't do it again, so it goes on. So things that are like really unique, they're on Etsy as well. You can find those on Boost on Etsy. So if you want a glitter boob, that's where you need to look.
Great. I hope that whoever wants this color will be able to find them.
Um,
How people can find you?
So the best way to get hold of us is through our website. There's an email. It's hello@wewearboost.com. Or you can get hold of us via Instagram and Facebook. And on Instagram, we are at We Wear Boost, and on Facebook, we're the same, at We Wear Boost. And you can send us messages there. You can follow our content. You can keep up with all the news and the bits and pieces. You can find out how I broke my arm. You can find out all these things about us if you want to know more. Our social media is a really good place to find all of that out. And yeah, keep in touch. We like to hear directly from women who want to wear our products because it helps us to design new product ranges in the future. We're always working on something behind the scenes, which we'll hope will be another size or another shape or something else going on. We're always working on your suggestions, so those suggestions are really useful as well. So yeah, please do contact us if you want to speak to us.
Sam, thank you so much for your time. This is amazing what you're doing. Keep on doing this. I hope that you will expand both in terms of business geographically, but also in terms of the team, and that more and more women who need this product will be able to get it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.